$120. That's the whole build. No electricity, no motor, no moving parts, just a shaped box of wood and screen sitting on the peak of a roof. Do you notice how small that number is next to what it replaces? By the end of this video, you'll know what this thing is, how the physics behind it actually works, and how to build one yourself for under $120. If you live anywhere in the upper Midwest, ASHRAE Zone 5A, the kind of place where January drops below zero and August pushes past 90, your attic is doing something you probably haven't thought about since you bought the house. Engineering measurements show a closed, poorly vented attic can climb well past 120 degrees in summer sun, and in the worst conditions, push toward 150 degrees or higher. That heat doesn't stay in the attic. It presses down through the ceiling drywall, through the insulation, into the rooms where you're running the air conditioner to fight it. Here's what fighting it costs. A central air conditioner working overtime against attic heat gain typically runs a household $200 to $600 a year in extra summer electricity. Replace an aging AC unit, and you're looking at $2,000 to $5,000 installed. Add battery backup for outages, and that's another $8,000 to $15,000. A full HVAC swap, furnace and condenser together, runs $10,000 to $20,000 in most of the country, added up over 20 years. And a typical American home spends $30,000 to $40,000 keeping itself cool and warm. Notice the shape of that spending. It never stops. There's no year where the bill goes to zero. The industry doesn't sell you a fix. It sells you a subscription, one that renews every summer for as long as you own the house. So here's the actual question. If a passive vent shaped like a small wooden tower can pull that same hot air out of an attic for the price of a nice dinner out, why isn't every roofline in America wearing one? The honest answer isn't a cover-up, it's a market observation. A properly sized cupola vent, built and installed correctly, has been shown to lower attic temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, a documented, unremarkable engineering fact that's existed in roofing literature for decades. And yet, it hasn't translated into a mainstream consumer product in the way ridge vents and powered attic fans have. The gap isn't secrecy. It's that a $120 DIY structure doesn't have a marketing budget, and a $400 powered fan does. That gap has a real origin, and it's not a conspiracy, it's a paper trail. In 1952, the Building Research Advisory Board of the National Research Council held a conference specifically on condensation control in buildings. The person who organized it, T.S. Rogers, was by that point working as Director of Technical Publications for Owens Corning Fiberglass, an insulation manufacturer. The attic ventilation ratio that conference helped cement, 1 square foot of vent for every 300 square feet of attic floor, actually traces back further, to an arbitrary number the FHA picked in 1942 with no citation behind it at all. That ratio became the backbone of the codes we still use today, and it was written around continuous ridge and soffit systems, not cupolas. Cupolas didn't get banned, they just weren't the shape the new rulebook was built for. If you want to keep following stories like this, subscribe to the channel. It helps keep Buried Fix running. And now on. You're probably thinking a wooden box on a roof sounds too simple to actually move meaningful air. Fair objection, so let's use the physics, not the vibes. Hot air is less dense than cool air, so it rises. A cupola sits at the highest point on the roof, exactly where that rising air wants to go. Pair it with soffit vents at the eaves, and you get what's called the stack effect. Cool air enters low, pushes warm air up and out the cupola, and the whole attic keeps cycling without a single moving part. Roofing sizing guidance backs this with a real formula. About 1 1/4 inches of cupola base width for every foot of unbroken roofline, which is why the 10 to 15 degree reduction figure holds up across different house sizes, not just one lucky example. This isn't a new trick either. Cupolas have topped barns, churches, and civic buildings in this country for well over a century, doing exactly this job before anyone called it passive ventilation. Go back further, and southern dog trot houses used a covered central breezeway to do the same thing at ground level, pulling hot air through and out using nothing but shape and airflow. Persian yakchal towers, built thousands of years ago, use the same basic principle of height and pressure difference to move air for cooling and ice storage in a desert climate. None of these builders had a thermostat. They had geometry, and geometry doesn't expire. Now the numbers. In the units, your utility bill actually uses. A well-vented attic, sitting under 100 degrees transfers dramatically less heat into your living space than one sitting at 140 degrees. Engineering estimates put an uninsulated 2x4 foot attic access panel alone leaking over 1,600 BTU per hour into the house at 140 degrees, dropping to well under 600 BTU per hour once the attic comes down closer to 100 degrees. That's not a 10% improvement, that's closer to a 60% cut in heat transfer through one small gap before you even count the rest of the ceiling. A single well-built cupola, sized to code for a typical 24-foot roofline, moves meaningful airflow continuously all day with 0 watts drawn. Compare that to a powered attic fan pulling real wattage every hour it runs through a Midwest summer. Most channels at this point would sell you a course. I'm doing the opposite. Here's the complete build. Start with exterior grade, half-inch plywood or cedar boards from Home Depot or Menards for the four walls and roof panels, figured to the 1 1/4 inch per roofline foot sizing rule so the vent area actually matches your attic. Louvered vent inserts and aluminum screen mesh keep rain and pests out while letting air through. Both are standard stock items at Lowe's or Ace Hardware. Pick up roofing felt and step flashing to seal where the base meets the shingles, exterior wood screws, and a small tube of roofing sealant. If you want a longer lasting roof cap, a scrap piece of aluminum flashing from a local scrapyard or a leftover roll from a previous job works fine and costs almost nothing. Build the box first on the ground. 4 walls, mitered or butt jointed at the corners, louvers set into each face, a simple pyramid or hipped roof cap fastened on top with a generous overhang to keep water off the louvers. Cut the matching opening in the roof deck between rafters. Never through one, and always with the attic side confirmed clear first. Set the finished cupola over the opening, weave the step flashing under the shingle courses above it and over the courses below, screw the base down into the decking, and run a bead of sealant along every flashing edge. Total materials for a modest, code-sized cupola on an average roofline land right around $120. Before you cut anything, know this. The International Residential Code doesn't require a permit for most exterior work that doesn't touch the structural framing of the house, and cutting a vent opening and roof sheathing generally falls into that category in most counties. But codes vary block to block, and a cupola changes the look of a roofline, which matters if you're in a historic district or under an HOA. A 5-minute call to your county building department costs you nothing and protects you, and it's worth making before the ladder comes out. These details I held back because they only matter once you've decided to build. Tilt your roof cap slightly steeper than your main roof pitch if you're in a snow load region, so it sheds faster and doesn't trap ice against the louvers. Slope the base slightly away from the ridgeline, not toward it, so wind-driven rain drains off instead of pooling at the seam. The hardest part to source locally is often the aluminum screen mesh and a fine enough weave to stop wasps without blocking airflow, so check a farm co-op before assuming a big box store has it. Plan to inspect the flashing every fall before the first freeze, and once you've got the base built, an optional upgrade is a small solar-powered fan insert for the handful of stagnant, no-wind days a passive vent alone won't fully clear. It's late afternoon in August, 91 degrees outside, and the thermometer clipped inside the attic access hatch reads 108, not the 130 it used to hit before the cupola went in. The house is quiet, almost nothing to hear where the old attic fan used to hum. There's a faint smell of warm cedar from the new wood up there, not the stale, baked plastic smell the attic used to have by this time of year. And on this month's statement, there's no line for a fan motor's electricity because there's no motor drawing it. If you like stories like these, the next video is already on your screen, one you won't want to miss.